True Gospel TV. True Gospel TV. True Gospel TV is number one and will remain number one for an everlasting life. True Gospel TV. True Gospel TV. True Gospel TV is number one and will remain number one for an everlasting life.
Hello brothers and sisters, greetings from Austria. My name is Monica. Pastor Philip asked the team if somebody can do a message in English, a short message for you, and the first impression that I have first that I should do this, and second was to speak about God who sees. Was in a split of a second was here, and the God who sees. And I think we all go through some stuff where it is good to know that God sees us. And I want to talk about Hagar. Hagar in the Old Testament, in the Genesis 16, and maybe I should read the whole chapter. It's a short one that you can understand more what's about. So now Sarai, Abram's wife, had borne him no children, but she had an Egyptian slave named Hagar. So she said to Abram, "The Lord has kept me from having children. Go, sleep with my slave. Perhaps I can build a family through her." Abram agreed to what Sarah said. So after Abram had been living in Canaan 10 years, Sarai, his wife, took her Egyptian slave Hagar and gave her to her husband to be his wife. He slept with Hagar and she conceived. When she knew she was pregnant, she began to despise her mistress. Then Sarai said to Abram, "You are responsible for the wrong I am suffering. I put my slave in your arms, and now that she knows she is pregnant, she despises me. May the Lord judge between you and me." "Your slave is in your hands," Abram said. "Do with her whatever you think best." Then Sarai mistreated Hagar, so she fled from her. The angel of the Lord found Hagar near a spring in the desert. It was the spring that is beside the road to Shur. And he said, "Hagar, slave of Sarai, where have you come from and where are you going?" "I am running away from my mistress Sarai," she answered. Then the angel of the Lord told her, "Go back to your mistress and submit to her." The angel added, "I will increase your descendants so much that they will be too numerous to count. The angel of the Lord also said to her, "You are now pregnant, and you will give birth to a son. You shall name him Ishmael, for the Lord has heard of your misery. He will be a wild donkey of a man. His hand will be against everyone, and everyone's hand against him, and he will live in hostility toward all his brothers." She gave this name to the Lord, who spoke to her, "You are the God who sees me." For she said, "I have now seen the one who sees me." That is why the well was called Beer Lahai Roi. It is still there between Kadesh and Bered. So Hagar bore Abram a son, and Abram gave the name Ishmael to the son she had born. So I think all we know the story, and what I want to tell you, it's the Hagar. It's about Hagar. It's about the situation where she was. It's about the emotional situation in where she was, and so she was a female Egyptian servant to Abram and Sarah. And I think her story speaks into our lives. I think we all find ourselves in such a situation where maybe we fled for something, we have pain, we have despair, we have rejection, we have loneliness, yes, and that's why I find right now, in the time where we are living, also right now, also with Corona, and everybody, it's full of despair and loneliness and abandoned, and yeah, I think it's a very good topic to speak about. So, and maybe you can read this chapter again and again at home to understand more and more. Maybe my English was not so good, so yeah, I hope that you can understand me. So she'd been mistreated by her mistress, and as a slave you have no option, no choice as to submit to your mistress. And out of desperation she finally fled from her, and she couldn't take the abuse and the pain anymore. So she found herself in a place where she was alone and without shelter. She was pregnant, she was scary, she was lonely, she was unloved, she was full of despair, she was rejected, she was full of fear. So you can imagine the situation where she was. And first she was emotionally abandoned. First Pharaoh gave her to Abram. Abram gave her to Sarah. Sarah gave her to Abram back to be pregnant. Then Abram gave her back to Sarah. So it was like a circle where she belongs to nobody. And the second thing was not only emotionally abandoned, but she was also spiritually wounded, because she learned from God, or she heard from God from her from Abraham and Sarah, and exactly these people who talk about God with her they mistreated her so bad. And you can imagine, maybe you also have something like this in your life, that it's happened to you, where you trust somebody, and or maybe they have a position in a church, and you think, how can